of Allah. I counsel you to have mindfulness of Allah. وَصِدْقِ الْحَدِيثِ, and to be always true in speech. وَالْوَفَاءِ بِالْعَهْدِ, and to always fulfill your commitments. وَتَرْكِ الْخِيَانَةِ, and to leave any deception. To leave any deception. The Prophet ﷺ told us elsewhere that the believer could have any quality, any kind of character traits, except lying and deception. And he told us, ﷺ, مَنْ غَشَّ فَلَيْسَ مِنَّا, whoever cheats is not of us. Right? And I don't know if you guys are welfare cheaters, but it seems to be popular in some part of Europe, in our community. And the Prophet ﷺ said, لَيْسَ مِنَّا, right? He's not of us. Right? وَتَرْكِ الْخِيَانَةِ وَحِفْظِ الْجَارِ, and taking care of your neighbor. Right? Taking care of your neighbor. You know, you'd think that Muslims consider, especially Muslims living in the West, consider that the Sunnah can be abrogated. Right? That that was true until 1922 or something. You have to be nice to neighbors, but no longer applies. Right? A high percentage of us don't even know the name of our neighbor. Right? And the Prophet ﷺ said, وَحِفْظِ الْجَارِ, right? And taking care of the neighbor. Literally protecting your neighbor. The Prophet ﷺ told us in one of very famous hadith, مَنْ كَانَ يُؤْمِنُ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ فَلْيُكْرِمْ جَارَهُ. Whoever believes in Allah and the last day should honor their neighbor. Not just be good to them, but honor them. Right? Not just be kind or caring, but to honor them. And the Prophet ﷺ told us that Jibreel continued to counsel me and remind me about my neighbor until I thought, said the Prophet ﷺ, that my neighbor would inherit from me. And who's the neighbor? Who is a neighbor? Who's a neighbor? No, who is a neighbor in general? She did so. Yeah. Neighbors are of three levels. At one level, your neighbor is the person who lives right next to you. That's your neighbor. At another level, at the second level, the neighbor is a person who lives close to you. But there's a broader sense of the neighbor as well. What is the name for the area you live in? At least in English it's called the neighborhood. And I live in such and such neighborhood. Why is it called a neighborhood? Because in a healthy society, the people of an area consider each other to be neighbors. Right? They consider each other to be neighbors, and they consider that they have rights on each other. Right? So, to take care of neighbors. And this is very important, right? More important than anything you tell people about Islam with your tongue. Right? People are always concerned about da'wah. More important than anything you tell them about your tongue, tell them about Islam through your conduct. Through what? It's not rocket ship science, it's called sunnah. Right? Act on the sunnah. Right? وَرَحْمَةِ الْيَتِيمِ, and to be merciful to orphans. Right? To be merciful to orphans. And this is from the Sunnah. The Prophet ﷺ would seek out, right, who widows and orphans were, and he used to make sure himself that they were taken care of. Right? Many of us don't even know about any orphans. Right? And this is not from the Sunnah. And it's a tremendous matter, taking care of orphans. The Prophet ﷺ said in the authentic hadith, أَنَا وَكَافِلُ الْيَتِيمِ كَهَاتَيْنِ فِي الْجَنَّةِ. I am the one who takes care of an orphan, are like these two in paradise. Right? And he held two fingers together with only a very small gap between them. Right? Indicating how high a reward there is for the one who takes care of orphans. And similarly, other people who are in need or in distress. وَلِينِ الْكَلَامِ, and to be gentle, to be soft in speech. وَبَذْلِ السَّلَامِ, and to spread the greetings of peace. وَحُسْنِ الْعَمَلِ, and to act with excellence. وَقِصَرِ الْأَمَلِ, and to have short hopes. Right? To have short hopes. Don't have airy-fairy dreams. Right? Some people live in the dreams. Right? No, the believer realizes the reality of death and acts accordingly. وَلُزُومِ الْإِيمَانِ and holding fast to one's faith. وَالتَّفَقُّهُ فِي الْقُرْآنِ and gaining deep understanding of the Qur'an. وَحُبِّ الْآخِرَةِ and loving the hereafter. Which of course would presuppose that you know what happens there. Right? That you know what happens there. Most of us don't know anything about our iman, about our faith. Right? So we say, yeah, there's an afterlife, but I know it's, well, I hope I know that I believe in it. But what goes on there and why and how,